are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like to study. It's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then, Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight feel like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, a huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name is Luke.
I'm Salt. I'm Cam. Gentlemen, how are we on episode 200?
Oh,
200! Pew, 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 pew.
We really should have planned something better than that.
Yeah. Just drop something in post, all right?
I mean, episode, it's like that thing, the people that listen to beer podcasts will know this. You don't do a big special thing for a special event because the event is special enough. So the fact that we got to 200 is special enough.
Right. We don't need to make a big deal out of it.
No, it's like cool. Yeah.
Yeah, 200. What's 200? We'll do another 200.
Whatever.
So we are doing a very special episode.
Okay.
We thought we would do an episode about Taylor Swift, and we'll get that Swiftie bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the Swifties listening. Now,
new album coming out soon?
Yeah. Robbo, you were saying just before we started recording, Taylor Swift massively overrated? Was that what you were saying?
Are we doing something intentionally antagonistic?
We aren't.
No, just before we were recording, I think I said, can you believe she re-recorded 4 of her albums? Which is something I've known but never really thought about.
Yeah.
And now that I've thought about it some more, that's crazy.
Yeah. But you know the reasoning behind that, Robbo?
George Soros?
It was.
Yeah.
The reasoning is because she was a 15-year-old who let someone make a poor business decision for her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I deal with it. Deal with it. It's the fucking music industry. Get over it.
This is why it does make it a special episode, because like Taylor Swift is the current zeitgeist, much bigger than I think a lot of people realize. And boy, this one touches on a lot of topics.
She's hit conspiracy world hard. But when I was thinking about Taylor Swift and conspiracies, which are very much of the moment, I did think that I seem to recall there being some Taylor Swift conspiracies of yesteryear that we might touch on before we get to the modern stuff.
Right.
That's sort of ironic because Taylor Swift used to be a favourite of the alt-right through no fault of her own.
Yeah.
There was a big thing, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago. And I know like the caveat when talking about anything 4chan related is they're like, oh, we were just joking. I can't believe you fell for our joke, which is really obnoxious. I know 4chan obnoxious doesn't make sense, but it is an obnoxious thing they do where they're like, no, we were just joking. Can't believe you fell for that. They believed it. They believed that Taylor Swift was on 4chan.
I remember that time, and yeah, that like in my mind, that's probably still true. You know, like it was sort of spoken about as, oh yeah, this is a thing, and I never thought about it again. And so in my mind, that's true. She used 4chan.
So there was a thing on 4chan where there was a person who got on 4chan and was like, I'm one of the 50 most famous people in the world. You know, ask me anything, my fellow 4chaners. And it was strongly implied that they were Taylor Swift through what they posted. And there was a few other little things that came up. There was like this person on 4chan would post something and it was use the same language as in a Taylor Swift tweet. At one point, they said, this person said, help me name my cat. Whatever comes up, Trips, will be the name I use. Trips is when they look at like the little numbers that every 4chan post has. And so if there's 3 numbers in a row, that's Trips. And the one that came up, Trips, was Meredith. And then there was a story, Taylor Swift's cat is named Meredith. Welcome to a new cat. It turned out to be all stuff that was sort of out there already. Right. So I think like the tweets were before the 4chan posts, things like that. And Moot, the head of 4chan, the admin, came out and sort of debunked it. He said, look, I've checked the IP. He said it's definitely not Taylor Swift. But he would say that if Taylor Swift had paid him off to, wouldn't he?
Yeah, isn't Moot now, doesn't he work in legitimate technology? So he's...
So yeah, completely compromised intelligence asset.
He worked for Google. So yeah, it's straight up intelligent stuff. There's definitely maybe not a famous person, but Doja Cat was a 4chan person, wasn't she?
Was she?
I think so. Even if that's just another thing that I'd heard and they just imagined and they just assumed it was true. There has to be at least one famous person or one famous person's kid who uses 4chan heavily, right? Or used it. Like Barron Trump.
Oh, yeah, I could see Barron being on there.
Yeah, that dude's just spending like untold hours on computers, bored out of his mind. Like, of course he's going to do that.
Yeah, I think sort of the tricky thing would be there's no like normal celebrity who's on there. Like a cooked celebrity, like a Barron Trump. How old's Barron Trump?
I've no idea.
Like 14 years old?
I think he might be like 20 now.
Oh, God. But someone like that. Obviously,
17.
Pete Evans.
Yeah.
Pete Evans.
Well, I don't know if Pete Evans ever went on 4chan. Pete Evans was definitely in some dark spaces on Telegram.
Sure.
And Pete Evans got sort of worked on as well. Not that he needed a huge amount of work, but there were people that worked on him to get him to where he is now. 4chan, he might have jumped on like 8chan for the Q stuff, actually. So he probably knows his way around an image board.
Yeah, I wonder how much like monitoring they do of all the computer use for someone like a Barron Trump. Like, are they monitoring his traffic? Are they? Yeah, hard to say. Apparently, he's being called a computer whiz. Oh no, that was by Donald Trump.
So, I think partly out of that, partly out of her being like a country star, she was a little bit sort of trad coded. By which I mean she had a ponytail, braided. I think that's all you need to get these people on side is to have a braid, right?
She does have a certain like Nazi quality to her, and hey, we all see it.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant by trad coded with a braid.
Yeah, I think we needed to be blunter than that because she's not like wearing pinafores and the other trad coded stuff. We're not seeing her cooking a pie. It's more that she's blonde hair, blue eyed.
Yeah,
it looks kind of like a Nazi.
Yeah, there's an Aryan quality to it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think between that and the trad coded stuff, and then even the reporting of her coming out when she first came out against Scooter Braun and the way that he'd sort of dudded her out of the money and out of like the rights to her recordings.
Honestly though, dudded her out of it. No, that's just business.
All right. Well, it's
right.
Here we go.
Not.
I was trying to set Robbo up for this before. Okay.
And meanwhile, I've come out and said straight up that she looks like a giant.
She's a Nazi.
Somehow that's not the worst thing.
And just for the record, when the Swifties come, bear in mind I'm the one defending her the entire time.
Hey, who out of the three of us, who's been and seen her live?
You?
Assuming you.
The Salt Man.
Right. Was that good? It
was fucking great.
Yeah, I imagine it'd be good.
That was really, really good. I really like her music.
I haven't listened to much, but I really like I really like hearing the song "Shake It Off." I know it's like an obvious one, but
Yeah.
it's an enjoyable song to hear.
Yeah.
And I like the song "22" because it was used in a Russell Westbrook highlights thing on YouTube that I watched.
Yeah.
And it worked really well, and I enjoyed seeing that. So yeah, I'd probably like more of her music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I like her music.
No, I've never gone out of my way to listen to Taylor Swift in my
Haven't?
life.
Jesus.
Any Taylor Swift I've heard has been incidental.
Mate, you got to listen to some fucking T Swift.
Wasn't her last album kind of folky?
I'm not sure, but she started off as like a country gal who crossed over into like a pop gal, and then she became a bit of an edgy pop gal. And I'm not sure where she's at now, but yeah, I like her music. But I also think, if you're gonna sign a record contract when you're a teenager that your parents are signing for you or whatever, and the contract says that you don't own the rights to your music, and then the record company that owns the rights to your music gets sold or whatever happened, and you get offered the chance to buy your music back, which you can 100% afford, and you don't do it, that's your own fault.
She stated that she tried to buy her masters for years, but was not given the chance unless she signed another contract that would require her to create 6 more albums under the label in exchange for the masters of the first 6.
Right.
So
then would she have had ownership on those new ones?
No, I think
no.
He would have still been making money off it.
Yeah.
That's music industry.
She said, essentially, my musical legacy is about to lie in the hands of someone who's tried to dismantle it. The guy Scooter Braun was involved in the Kanye West video where she was naked. And then she also claimed that Scooter Braun influenced Kim Kardashian to orchestrate an illegally recorded snippet of Swift's phone call. It gets pretty messy, basically.
And also she would have to sign an NDA where she would never say anything bad about Scooter Braun.
Yeah. So there was some dodgy shit going on, but the fact is she was given the chance to buy her shit and she didn't.
Yeah, but she would have, there were stipulations that she would have had to keep working for the people.
Yeah, that's business, mate.
All right, let's cut this.
The music industry sucks. But there's no illusion that the music industry doesn't suck, but that's the business she's in.
But then it turns out she just ditched that completely and went and re-recorded it all, and they all went to number 1 still, and she won awards for the re-record. So
yeah,
she really jammed it up their dick holes in the end.
All right,
but you know what? If I've learned anything from listening to the radio, is that the radio will probably just still play the old versions.
Yeah,
because the radio still plays the original recording of like a bunch of Cold Chisel songs that have been re-recorded since then, and that you can't get anywhere else but here on the radio.
Why did Cold Chisel re-record all their albums?
They did a whole bunch of remastering, and when they remastered it, like Jimmy Barnes recorded new vocal tracks for a whole bunch of stuff, and it just sucks now. But also, when you listen to they play Queen on the radio and they play like "We Will Rock You," they always play "We Will Rock You" and "We Are the Champions" back to back because they were released as like a double A-side single.
Right. So, what the fuck were we talking about just before? Oh yeah, so there was the whole 4chan thing. There's the fact that she's trad coded. Shut up, Robbo. There's the fact that she's a little bit trad coded, and then there was the thing where when she first came out about the whole situation with buying her music back, she name dropped some of the companies that were involved, which included like the Soros family. And so there was it was like Taylor
Swift speaks out against George Soros and all those kind of things.
So all of these people are like, oh, Swifties red-pilled. And it's just like, no, these are just literally the companies that are involved in this business transaction. It was like the Soros family and like BlackRock and some like just...
She's had a history of being kind of alt-right coded or the alt-right are into her.
Yeah, well, I don't think she ever did anything to earn that.
No.
It's just they were like, I guess when you're like in that position, you're always out on the lookout for anyone who'll be on your side.
Oh yeah, that's the funny thing. Like any actor of any remote renown mentions, say, like Donald Trump, and suddenly they're like, "This is the greatest actor of all time," and he's on our side or she's on our side. The lady that was in the Star Wars,
that in the canceled. Mandalorian.
Yep.
That's right.
Kevin Sorbo, Rob Schneider, like these guys, they're all held up as being amazing actors in the alt-right world.
Oh, who was the guy in the Hunter Biden movie? Oh, Lawrence Fox.
Yeah. So, like,
He's
yeah, if
so
they
bad.
if they could stake a claim in T Swift, yeah, that would be pretty big deal. So, I did read an article where they sort of say that she was mostly apolitical, like, and quite rightly so. Just stay out of it when you're young and really famous. But then from sort of 2018 onwards, she started to endorse Democratic candidates. She spoke in favour of LGBT rights. That's what the article calls it. And she's been very effective for voter registration. In 2020, she endorsed Biden, and the White House is hoping she'll endorse him in 2024. So, yeah, she's certainly got a lot more political as time has gone on, or more openly political, and that's obviously turned the alt-right cookers against her.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not just our conspiracy saying this. Like, presidential candidates were coming out with Taylor Swift conspiracies the other week.
Who came out with a...
not viable presidential candidates. That Vivek Ramaswamy came out with a little T-Swift conspiracy. What did he say? It was actually quite specific about what he thought was going to happen. Let me just check the Hindustan Times to get up to date on Vivek Ramaswamy's. I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month, he wrote on X.com. And I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially culturally propped up couple this fall. Just some wild speculation over here. Let's see how it ages over the next 8 months. Oh, and that's also in reply to neo-Nazi Jack Posobiec, if you want to know how the Republican Party's going.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack Posobiec, the tweet he's replying to is thinking about when Taylor Swift called out the Soros family in 2019 for buying the rights to her music, and then how she came out as super liberal in 2020. So they were still thinking about
it. Fox News also had a widely circulated screenshot which did air a former FBI agent, Stuart Kaplan, was giving an interview, and the little chiron at the bottom says, "Is Taylor Swift a Pentagon asset?" And like Fox News, I don't know, it still presents itself as a proper news show, but like, can you imagine 10 years ago if they were claiming that being a Pentagon asset would be a bad thing? Like, Fox News is pretty pro the military state of America, and then a celebrity being like, it's just such a crazy shift in how we talk about things in somewhat mainstream media now.
Yeah. So, yeah, the current mainstream Republican conspiracy is that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, the footballer,
yep,
it's all just a show. Because he's been in like Pfizer ads for the vax. And what they think is going to happen is that they've rigged the Super Bowl so that his team will win. And that once they've won the Super Bowl, I guess you get a Super Bowl ring, don't you?
Yep.
But he's going to win the Super Bowl, and then he's going to propose to Taylor Swift. And then I think the idea is that in like the jubilation of the Super Bowl victory and this proposal, which will be like the biggest celebrity proposal of all time, that Taylor Swift is then going to turn to camera and say, "Vote for Joe Biden, young people."
That wouldn't work.
No.
It's the corniest shit ever. Like, you'd just be like, no, it sucks now.
Also, even just this idea that she'll endorse Joe Biden, which she did do before.
Yeah, she has done in the past, but you're not going to do it. Like, she's not a cheese ball.
No. And I don't know. I don't think that Taylor Swift is like a communist.
Am I remembering? Am I having weird false memories of us talking previously about stuff to do with Taylor Swift also like being Anton LaVey's granddaughter or something?
We may have talked about that with Anton LaVey. That's on the list to discuss.
Okay.
That was like a week or so ago, I think. It was in the news recently.
Right. I thought I remembered us talking about, and also something about her being like the head witch of the Freemasons or some shit.
Yeah.
Is that like a thing? Yeah.
Yeah, there's heaps of that stuff.
Okay,
but
cool.
I do think she's Anton LaVey's granddaughter. I don't think she's a communist. Right. But I don't know if like her people would be like, that now is the time to endorse Joe Biden, who is facilitating a genocide. I think the Swifties might not go for that.
If you're a halfway moderate and that happened, because one of the big problems with, and it's enraging people, that when she's at one of the games, it cuts to her a couple of times. And like I've seen a lot of like discussion online and memes and cartoons about like, Taylor Swift is like, I'm seeing her more than the game. And I did see someone sort of break down how often they cut to her during an entire game, and it was like 4 times over 3 hours. So, but what's happening is people are, they might be moderate people or whatever, and there's this kind of, her presence at the Super Bowl or at these games is enraging everyone, like all the NFL fans. So if she turned around and said, did the vote Joe Biden thing in that moment after, like, no one would be happy about that.
No.
That's just a bad move for everyone involved.
I don't think it would help Joe Biden, but I think the Swifties wouldn't go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's this idea that these Swifties have no agency, that they're part of the cult of Taylor Swift. I reckon she has no control over these people other than, releasing mind control banger after banger. But I think that in Swiftie law, like Swifties are anti-Zionist coded themselves because of, there was that story of the Taylor Swift Stan account that went to jail. Are you across this bit of Swiftie law?
No.
Oh, there was because there's all these Twitter accounts that are like Taylor Swift updates, and they just post Taylor Swift stuff all day, every day. There was this one account, this is like famous screenshot of this account, where they're like, oh, hey guys, sorry I haven't posted for a while. I was in jail. And someone replies to them and they're like, oh, what happened? They're like, oh, I refused to serve in the IDF. And they're like hailed as the greatest Swiftie fan account of all time. So I think that like maybe like the Taylor Swift fan base are not like up on all of the human rights issues, but I think they are like automatically on the side of Palestine just because of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So what you're saying is they have so little agency that they'll follow one of the top Stan accounts into hating Israel. Contrary to what you said earlier, they have lots of agency. Is that correct?
No, I think that there's law. I think there's law and backstory.
Okay.
We live in a world of narratives.
So you mentioned earlier that Travis Kelce, also it's not really clear how to say his name properly. I looked it up online and there's a few differing opinions.
Yeah, and that's not on us. He's got a fuck name. But also doesn't, like, if we were mispronouncing Taylor Swift's name, it'd be a problem. It doesn't matter if we mispronounce this guy's name.
Yeah. So one of the
all the Kelsey people are going to come after us.
I'm going to start saying Taylor Swift from now on.
So Kelsey's history of being a dipshit lib, he was one of the few white players to kneel during the anthem, during the whole kneeling thing.
Mm-hmm. Good bloke.
You mentioned he promoted Pfizer, which I don't know if it was a full ad or it was just photos of him getting the old vaccine. Yep.
Yeah.
And he's also been a spokesperson or done promotions for Bud Light as well.
Yeah. Although I think I saw that being like in the case against him. Did you just crack open a Bud Light?
No. Well, I don't know what happened, to be honest. I've just got a Bud Light in front of me and who knows? Let's party.
I've seen like in the charge sheet against Travis Kelce, promoted Bud Light. I think for like Bud Light's like a major sponsor of the NFL, or maybe of his football team. I think they sponsor a lot of football related things for whatever reason. Who knows? But I don't think it's like a solo sponsorship just for him, where he's the only one that came out and said, "I'll stand with Dylan Mulvaney."
Yeah, okay. So just this headline. After Dylan Mulvaney backlash, Bud Light releases Grunts ad with Kansas City Chiefs Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
So they did a whole... so when they were trying to, like, walk back, actually, we are, like, red-blooded Americans and we actually hate the queers as much as you do, he was used in the male-focused advertising. So he was the face of it.
Yeah.
Backyard Grunts with Travis Kelce. It features a football player dressed in casual summer attire and they settle into lawn chairs with grunts and groans. Some of them pop open cans of Bud Light once comfortably sprawled in their seat. Hey, that's a pretty good concept for an ad. The Simpsons kind of already did that already, though, didn't they?
Yeah. I'm also not entirely convinced, because, the Dylan Mulvaney thing was like one Instagram sponsorship. Like they sponsored one post on Instagram. I don't think it was supposed to be a thing. I have a feeling that the let's get football players to drink Bud Light marketing campaign may have been in the works nevertheless.
No, they noped out of all of that. So I was following it through some of the beer writers in America, and basically a Bud Light or Bud or Anheuser-Busch retracted all of that and then went full in on all bloke marketing immediately. It was completely in relation to that.
I posted a little picture from my holiday last year.
Oh, yeah. For people that aren't in our Discord, our private Discord, Salty's posted a photo of his hand holding a big can of Bud Light. What is that, 500ml?
I don't know, whatever the big one is.
Yeah, nice.
I got that my last night in America.
But also,
from a gas station.
Official beer sponsor of the National Football League.
Yeah, but he was the face of the campaign immediately after the Mulvaney thing.
Okay.
So, for dipshit Republicans, the kneeling, the Pfizer, and the Bud Light stuff is all and now Taylor Swift, it's
Yeah, they're like, but they should be happy with him, because it's like, I thought you didn't want the transes drinking the beer. Now you've got the white guy. Now we're going to macho white guy drinking it. Isn't this what you wanted?
Yeah. It's exactly what they wanted.
Do we want to discuss some of these other Taylor Swift conspiracies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about a meme that I saw that made me lol.
Mm-hmm.
Actually lol?
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
So it's a photo of Taylor Swift, who, I guess for people that aren't aware, is kind of famous for having breakups. It's a whole thing with her. Breakup songs, breakups with, blah, blah, blah. And so it's a photo of her, and then it's a photo of him, and he's got the Pfizer logo, and he's got a sticker, what is that, a plaster on his arm? And it says, either way, this dude is getting his heart broken.
Ah.
Alluding to Taylor Swift and the side effects of the Pfizer jab. Which I thought was pretty clever for, the dipshits. In the world of alt-right memes, I think it's not a bad one. Okay.
I'm just thinking.
Moving along.
I'm just thinking about Spotify is about to put the get the real facts about the vax notice on this podcast, which we get even when we are pro-vax.
Yeah.
Salty, you alluded to the fact that she is either the daughter of Anton LaVey
or granddaughter or something. Yeah.
They say that she's the daughter, but then it's sort of that falls apart because the daughter of Anton LaVey is still alive. Still out there, significantly older than Taylor Swift.
Is she releasing a string of bangers, though?
No, I don't think so. Taylor Swift does bear a resemblance to her in the sense that they both have a braid in their hair. Blonde women with braids.
Yep.
So I did see it sort of pivot into, well, obviously it's not her. She's just a clone. It's like, why have we cloned Anton LaVey's daughter who left the Church of Satan to become a Buddhist? What is that achieving?
Well, you'd clone it and you'd rearrange a couple of the genes. You'd take out the Buddhist gene, and then you'd slice in a goat gene, and hope it comes out better.
I also saw Taylor Swift. So on the day that Jeffrey Epstein died, if you're so gullible as to believe that, there was a story that Taylor Swift was drinking at the club and got a little bit tipsy. And I saw this was presented as, what are the odds that on the day that Jeffrey Epstein dies, this story comes out that is clearly designed to distract us from Jeffrey Epstein's death. And I have to say, I don't think it worked.
Hang on. So it wasn't that she was celebrating. It was she went out. We need to cover up. Right.
They're like, we need to get people talking about anything besides Jeffrey Epstein. Taylor, the magnums are on us. at the old VIP room. The magnums of champagne, not the bloody delicious almond magnums.
You went to almond as your go-to magnum flavour?
Not a decadent double caramel magnum.
Yeah, right.
Look, I'm a plain magnum guy.
I like the is it passion fruit white chocolate ones?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I like anything.
That's what
fruit.
I call the aloof special.
Yeah, absolutely. I like a fruit and a white chocolate combined.
Right. I like a boysenberry.
Oh, boysenberry! Fuck yeah, boysenberry's the best flavour of ice cream.
Yeah. I remember I wrote a social media post and I can't find it now. Years ago about that I thought was hilarious. It was a Taylor Swift related one. And I can't find it now. Maybe I deleted it. I don't think I did. Or maybe I didn't post it where I think I posted it. But it was somewhere along the lines of I wouldn't be worried about dating Taylor Swift, or I wouldn't be worried about breaking up with Taylor Swift because it was something like Fat Man, Unimpressive Penis doesn't make a very good song title. Something like that. And at the time I thought it was fucking hilarious.
A little bit self-deprecating there.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear some other Taylor Swift?
Hang on. I'll just note that I tried to find Salty's Taylor Swift tweet.
And then just all me going, oh my God, I got Taylor Swift tickets.
all caps, got Taylor Swift tickets, OMG, 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 OMG. Hashtag excited.
And then there's a reply to that like where someone says, Salty, you are, what does it say? Salty, you are a fantastically eclectic individual.
You did say to someone, Taylor Swift, man, she's rad as.
Yeah. Mate, I love Taylor Swift.
There you go.
This is all like 2010, 2012, that era.
In 2012, you also said that someone in Eurovision seems a bit like a Euro Taylor Swift.
Right.
There you go. You've been on the Taylor Swift train for over a decade.
Yeah, mate.
May 12, 2010, most metal side of the day, me driving along the Bruce Highway this afternoon singing to Taylor Swift at the top of my lungs.
Man, using Twitter back then was so much more enjoyable.
It's just a more innocent time, you know?
It was a more innocent time.
I could just be like, hey, look at my new coffee mug. By the way, have you heard the new Taylor Swift song?
You couldn't post that now because of woke.
No.
Woke will come and get you.
Some more Taylor Swift conspiracies.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, obviously, covering up the Epstein affair. What did I see? Oh, I did see, so I was going back through, like, old R Conspiracy, because, like, the new R Conspiracy, even on R Conspiracy, they're getting sick of it. Because it's, like, it's confected Republican talking points. I think at a certain point, even though they don't mind that, at a certain point, they're like, this is not that helpful. What are you talking about? That they're going to rig the Super Bowl to get Joe Biden elected? Like, even for us, that's stupid. I did see someone talking about Taylor Swift and compared her to Michael Jackson, and Prince, who they took MJ and Prince out. Michael Jackson was like starting to record songs about like the environment and stuff, so they had to kill him. And some of his songs were like too positive. So they're like, we can't be having that. And then Prince, they're like, because he went against his record company. So I think they were trying to say this is what's going to happen to Taylor Swift soon because she went against her record company. But they're like, he went against his record company when he started calling himself the artist formerly known as Prince. And so they took him out. I was like, didn't he die not that long ago?
Yeah.
And didn't he start calling himself the artist formerly known as Prince a long, long time ago?
Ages ago.
It was 23 years between him doing that and them killing him. That just shows they're playing the long game.
Yeah. So he went. Did he just help me out with the timeline here because I'm a little confused? He was like Prince. Then was he like the symbol, and then he was the artist formerly known as Prince?
Yeah, I think he was Prince, and then this is based entirely on me remembering 1993 and reading conspiracies about it just now. I think that to get out of like a record deal, he started using the symbol.
Right.
And then he was like, oh, you know what? I could call myself the artist formerly known as Prince so that people know who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
And still be out of my record deal.
Right.
And then 23 years after he did that, they took him out.
All right. Little tip there for Taylor Swift.
Mm.
Just fucking change your name, mate. Get out of your shit record deal.
There was a fun episode of Muppets Tonight where when he was the symbol, and like he walks in and he's like, "Oh, I'm here to be on the show." And like, "Oh, what's your name?" And he just shows them the symbol, and he's like, "Oh, how'd you get that picture of my mother?" And like that kind of becomes a running joke throughout the whole episode. It was I might see if I can find that. That was really funny.
But the main bit of Taylor Swift conspiracy content that I consumed for this was a Miles Mathis PDF.
Right. Can you remind long-term listeners about Miles Mathis?
We haven't talked about Miles.
Listeners.
We haven't talked about Miles Mathis for a while. Miles Mathis is a prolific PDF producer. And what you need to know about these PDFs is some of them are so long that if you printed them, you'd be like, hang on, is this a PDF or a book?
Oh,
what?
So he put out a piece on Taylor Swift in 2015 called Blank Space. His whole thing is that like everyone's involved in the intelligence industry. And so Taylor Swift is clearly an intelligence asset. One of the big red flags for him is that she attended the Windcroft School in Pennsylvania, which is an offshoot of the Hill School. I'm reading now from the PDF/book. One of the 10 top Eastern prep schools that also include Choate, Deerfield, Phillips Exeter, and Hotchkiss. And he compares that to Catcher in the Rye. So J.D. Salinger attended a school like that. Holden Caulfield, the main character of Catcher in the Rye, attended a school like that. And he reckons Catcher in the Rye was designed to show up those schools so that people would understand that they're a breeding ground for intelligence assets.
Right.
And that is why so many killers have a copy of Catcher in the Rye, because the intelligence community could not be having that, so they had to strike back. And obviously the most famous example would be the murder of John Lennon by Mark Chapman, where he had a Catcher in the Rye in his back pocket. They couldn't have all of this anti-prep school propaganda gaining steam, so they needed to associate it with the murder of celebrities.
Right.
You say right like that doesn't make perfect sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think he might have missed some of the appeal of Catcher in the Rye.
Have you read Catcher in the Rye, Cam?
Not recently, but as a youth, it's not really about intelligence. It's more about all these It's about all these fucking phonies.
It's about all these phonies.
That's the appeal. No one likes a phony.
Yeah.
But Taylor Swift might as well be wearing a CIA sandwich board and ringing a bell for all of the obviousness of her intelligence assetry. But he then goes on to analyze a lot of the lyrics. And so he looks at Shake It Off, which is about how don't worry about the past. For example, like how the Vietnam War started, just get down to this sick beat. Just listen to the music. Also, all of our music is like a little machiney, not a full big bands like Fleetwood Mac, who I think surely also there has to be a Miles Mathis Fleetwood Mac for intelligence assets thing, right? Like all of those bands. We've talked about, the CIA and rock music before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of drugs and turmoil in Fleetwood Mac, if you're a CIA person, you want to get a rock band on your side, just start feeding one of them drugs.
Yeah. The examples he gives of music with real people: Chicago, Steely Dan, Seals and Crofts, or even Fleetwood Mac. But yeah, the way they've done this music is it's the best way to hypnotize the young people because it gets right into your limbics.
I like how he's just gone for the safest yacht rock collection he can find. It's like, this is real music.
Yeah.
It's just, I enjoy listening to songs from all of those bands, but yeah, I wouldn't call it cutting edge real music.
No. But also, he goes through all of her known beaus at the time: Jake Gyllenhaal, Joe Jonas, John Mayer, Harry Styles, Connor Kennedy, Taylor Lautner, Zac Efron, Corey Monteith, Eddie Redmayne, and Lucas Till. And even he knows all gay. His gaydar's pingin'.
Right. All of them.
All of them. Every single one. And he says that he's got nothing against gays. If these guys are gay, that's fine with me. Doesn't bother me a bit. But it does bother him that we're being lied to.
If I was that good at realizing if a man is gay or not, as this guy clearly is, I'd be really annoyed because I'd be like, well, man, I've got this talent that I just can't use to my advantage because I'm not gay.
And then this is the final thing I'll say about this. This is all just fairly standard stuff. But he then extrapolates from there. So if John Mayer is gay, then that means that John Mayer, who had a hugely publicised alleged affair with Jennifer Aniston, that must also have been a situation where Jennifer Aniston was a beard. So he goes into a whole side project on Jennifer Aniston, where he does reveal that he's watched every episode of Friends except for season 10 50 times, which seems to me to be excessive.
What happened in season 10?
Is that the final season?
Friends 10 season, yeah. He just couldn't bear to let it go.
No.
10 seasons. There you go. Man, that's a lot of... How many episodes in a season? Like there's 40 or something?
I think they get up to like 20, like a standard 22 season.
24, between 24 and 25 for all of them except for season 10, which only had 18. Yeah, right. Man. So he watched 9 times 24. 50 times. Jesus.
Now, I think that Friends is probably quite rewatchable.
Mm-hmm.
But is it 50 times rewatchable?
It depends how much bloody weed you're smoking, I imagine. If you were smashing down some edibles, just zonking out your brain for a bit, yeah, absolutely. If you're doing it like a psychopath who's just written a 40-page PDF, maybe not.
Hang on. 50 times 9.
Oh, I was going to do it. I gave up.
Times 25 is 11,250. Times, what are they? 30 minutes long. He's watching them on... This guy isn't watching DVDs.
Well, I mean, sometimes he's going to pause and go make a drink and go to the bathroom. So let's make it 30.
Yeah, let's say 30. So that's 337,500 minutes divided by 60. That's 5,625 hours divided by 24. That's 234 full days.
It's not even a year.
And Friends finished in like 2003, 2004?
2003.
He's written
2004, sorry. But he didn't watch season 10, so 2003, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he watch season 10 and then just not rewatch it? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, he says that he's watched it. So
yeah, okay.
We can add on 25 times 30.
18.
Times 18. Anyway.
This Friends math is way too complicated.
200. Well, he's a math guy, if you'll recall. But 234 full days of his life has been spent watching Friends. How has he had time to pursue his PDF writing career?
Yeah.
I'm assuming ADHD medication or some sort of speed. I would wager. So I watched this guy called Jason Miller, Truth and Stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You guys ever come across this guy?
I feel like we may have talked about him before.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Did the Tay-Swift stuff come under the Truth or under the Stuff?
I think it's all combined. He's on Brighteon, and he's exclusively on Brighteon, and he's got a 10-minute video called Why Taylor Swift. And in that video, he says, I'm going to stay on Brighteon. I'm not going to post on those other ones, even though I might get more viewers. And then he spends, I'd say, 2 minutes mentioning other social media platforms he could be posting on. I'm not going to post on X, Rumble, Telegram, what's that other one, TikTok. And then he just forgets some, and then seriously, 2 minutes of him just naming things that he's not going to do. I didn't even make it through the video. I went down to the one comment from Connie Joe, who says, taking some public speaking, articulation, diction courses should be on your agenda. Best wishes. I think he's got rinsed for. He think he's going to give up doing it because he doesn't get the audience. That's all I got out of bloody Jason Miller. I didn't even get the truth or the stuff. Well, most of the stuff, I guess. There's a lot of conspiracies around Taylor Swift doing witchcraft at concerts because she does one with like hooded robes and does like a mock kind of woodland seance-y kind of thing, but nothing that's really meaningful. It's just all for show, and it looks pretty fun. I think there's a snake in the background of one of her concerts recently as well, but all that stuff, that gets Christian America really like jazzed up. So someone started a petition, urged Taylor Swift to stop promoting witchcraft amid exorcist's warning. So an exorcist warned that she's going to unleash some demons, so don't go to her show.
You know what got me jazzed up at her show?
There
was this one bit where there must have been a little trapdoor in the stage.
Oh, yeah.
And she sprung up out of it like on a springboard.
Oh, yeah.
Boing! And landed back on the stage. So good.
Yeah. There's been a video of Psy. Remember the Korean rapper Psy?
Yeah, Gangnam Style.
Yeah, of him doing that. And it shows you from underneath the stage and it follows it right through.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Any musician doing that, great.
Yeah. Also, a slow rise up from under the stage, like Slash.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Absolutely. Anything rising up or going underneath the stage, whether it's wrestling or rock stadium concerts.
I went to see Velvet Revolver in Brisbane just because I wanted to see Slash live, and I don't really care that much for Guns N' Roses. It was a great show, and
it's funny that you chose Velvet Revolver.
Well, that's just what was there. That's what was touring. It's not like my choices where I could go to Guns N' Roses or Velvet Revolver. It's just that Velvet Revolver was touring, and I was like, oh yeah, Slash is cool. And at that concert, I'm pretty sure his first appearance on stage was up out of under the stage. He rose up on a riser.
Yeah, that's sick.
That's that must be in his fucking rider, his technical rider.
What's the AC/DC one where Angus walks out on this platform crane thing and it lifts him up above the crowd and he does a fucking sick solo?
Oh, don't know.
Oh, it's so good. It's
That's cool though.
It's and I think then he walks back and then he just keeps the solo going and then just runs back out again.
Right.
Goes for 10 minutes. I think it's maybe Let There Be Rock.
Okay.
I'll look it up. It's sick. It's so good.
I also enjoyed
the sort of thing you do if you were letting there be rock.
Oh, there was so much rock.
I also enjoyed. I went to Kiss's first farewell tour in 2001.
Yeah.
First, I don't understand.
It was 2001. I went to Carrara Stadium on the Gold Coast to see them, and there's a bit where Paul Stanley puts his big platform boot on a little foot flying fox and flies out over a cable to the middle of the stage where there's a big platform. And does part of a song out on that, and then zip lines back to the stage.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Can I re-record my Psy response so I sound less basic?
No, that's good.
Can I be like, oh, it's Psy from that featuring Sugar of BTS?
You want to make a more relevant, a more recent reference?
No, I don't really. Moving on.
Just some other conspiracy.
Salty's never going to listen to this, so it's only Robbo that'll know that I actually did edit that back in.
Yeah. The Kanye West thing where he came out and said that Beyonce had the best video clip of all time. That was a humiliation ritual, which I'm sure we've probably talked about in the past. And then the next time she came back in public, or the next video clip she did, she was all dressed in red, and so she was humiliated. To be indoctrinated into the satanic cabal, when now she's then dressed in red to show it all.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I did see something funny that was if you tell someone in 2009 that the far right loves one of these artists and the far left loves the other, that's Kanye West and Taylor Swift, they'd be very confused. I also watched some Candace Owens, who I've never really watched before, but she's a alt-right, I don't know, what's her job? YouTube stuff? Talking head? I don't know. She seemed to be, was she on the news at some point?
Yeah, she was a Fox News talking head.
Yeah, right. She was talking about how comedy relates to all this, and Taylor Swift, I think Joe Coy, the comedian, made a comment about all the shots of Taylor Swift at the Gridiron that I mentioned earlier. Joe Coy was the host of one of the award shows, and she didn't react at all. She just cuts to her and she's not even really, I don't even know, it doesn't even look like she heard it. There's just no reaction. And Candace Owens wow, she's so angry. She's the model for woke culture. And then to show Candace Owens' appreciation of good comedy that's not woke, she showed a TikTok of someone saying how to name your Asian baby. and they're throwing a pot down the stairs, and it goes dong 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 dong, and then the guy does a like Uncle Roger style voice and goes ching chong ching chong. Yeah. She's like, "That is objectively funny." I don't think it is. Like objectively, it's fine. And I don't have an example of anything, but then she shows another comedian. She shows another comedian about like a bad comedian making a bad joke, and it's woke comedian. She's like, and then we've got unwoke comedians like Bill Burr, and she shows Bill Burr just he threads that needle of racism really well and tells really good jokes. And she's like, this Bill Burr gets cancelled over these jokes, and we don't get humor anymore. But Bill Burr is like the biggest comedian in the world. Like he's got multiple specials. Every year there's like fucking 5 Bill Burr specials.
Yeah.
To the point where he's just making the same jokes again. So he hasn't been cancelled at all. Her example of unwoke comedy being cancelled is. Anyway, she's mad that
he hasn't whipped his dick out for anyone, though, right?
No, I don't think
cancelled.
Yeah, it will get you cancelled. Even then, old mate's selling out stadiums again.
Yeah.
You can't get cancelled as a comedian, and Bill Burr is guilty of this, doing entire specials about how easy it is to get cancelled as a comedian. Fuck that! Remember that like 2 or 3 years where every comedy special was like, "Oh, we can't say anything more. Oh, we're going to get cancelled." Yeah. Just tell a fucking joke, funny man.
It might still be in those 2 to 3 years, I think.
Oh, it's so exhausting. Anyway, Candace Owens, it was real garbage content. I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, that's about all I got.
Should we do some news?
Woo!
Yeah. Oh, by the way, all of this, we should probably acknowledge that by the time this comes out, the Super Bowl would have happened, and something could either be really big or not at all. So,
wait, when's the Super Bowl?
Next week. Next Monday.
This will be out before next Monday.
All right.
Have a little faith.
Cool. Let's go some news.
All right. News. Oh, we've got lots of old news here.
Just whip through it.
I've got a Law and Order propaganda update.
Go.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about the propaganda in the new Law and Order.
Mm-hmm.
There was a legal weed store in one episode, and they like really threaded the needle of everything I was talking about propaganda in Law and Order the other day. They're looking at it, and I think someone got shot outside the weed store, and they're like, remember the old days when it wasn't legal? But they're like trying to say that was both good and bad at the same time. That's all I got. They're like, remember the old days? And they're sort of like, when it was good, and the other one's like, when it was bad. Whoa. Anyway, my only other Law and Order updates are I have noticed that in the new episodes, every criminal is wearing like a surgical mask, right? Which sort of makes sense that if you're going to do crime in New York City in the age of the coronavirus, you would have a mask on. But it's also like
a little bit anti-masky stuff, right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
And my only other update is I did skip ahead and watched the most recent Law and Order, the start of the season, which opens with the dean of a university, of Hudson University, which is like Harvard in Law and Order universe. He's walking past like anti-Israel graffiti and talking on the phone to his wife about the plagiarism scandal that he's currently facing, and he gets stabbed by Antifas.
Right.
So, propaganda, who's to say? We've got a story here. A guy in Quebec who had posted, I think, a little bit about how all of the wildfires were like a government operation, and it's all being done. A lot of conspiracy stuff about wildfires.
The stuff where like nothing blue got set on fire and all that kind of shit.
That was like the Hawaii ones. This guy was posting about like wildfires a bit closer to home. I think it was just the government was doing it, and it was all to like make you believe in climate change. Now, that's one thing to post that. I'll allow it. No, I won't. But he should have known that that's not what was happening because he set a bunch of the fires. So I think that's not on. I deny him his bag. Let's see, what else have we got?
Just quickly before you move on, Emma asked me why you keep saying, what does that mean about denying or giving someone the bag?
What does it mean to give someone the bag?
Yeah.
That I will allow them to profit from it.
Sometimes we also cross over into making cocaine jokes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but someone gets that bag.
Yeah. Modern hip hop terminology.
Yeah, that's what I'm famous for.
Yeah. Cool. Just wanted to clarify that for any other listeners who had the same question.
I think
Big bag of money.
Listeners are generally pretty cool.
And or drugs.
Cool kids.
Are you saying Emma's not cool?
What else have we got?
Oh, interesting.
Woke-free beer venture in Georgia earned an F rating with the Better Business Bureau. What was wrong with the woke-free beer, Robbo?
The guy never really had a plan for it. He started a company to sell woke-free beer, and then he needed to work out how to get that beer made and shipped to people, which is really hard in the US because every state has different shipping laws around alcohol. No one wanted a brewer's beer, and making beer is both expensive and annoying. So it didn't work out very well for him, and people weren't getting their beer. But then people, they paid an exorbitant amount, like $50 for a 4-pack, $50 US for a 4-pack. Didn't turn up for ages, and then it finally turned up, and the people interviewed in this article saying how annoying it was, are still like, oh, we'll still support him because he's doing the right thing. You can just shovel garbage into these people's anything, and they're just happy to accept it, even though they know it's garbage. It's so weird.
What were the name of his beers? Anything super problematic?
Nah, just like, what was it? Ultra right beer?
Right.
Yeah, great. Yeah. I feel like
no homo Indian pale ale.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's clearly not paying any attention to the beer industry if he's like, oh, there's a gap in the market for beer that's not woke.
Yeah.
Do we have a Bigfoot theme song?
Oh, fuck, we don't. I thought we did.
No, we have
We've got a Big Cat theme song.
We've got a Big Cat theme.
We've got a lot monster big. I don't think I've ever done a Bigfoot one, no.
Could you just redo the Big Cat? Instead of it was a big cat, it was a Bigfoot cat.
No, you're thinking of Monster Mash. That wasn't.
What's the song
for the Big Cat on's is you can leave your hat on. You've got a big cat on film.
All right.
I sang it in the style of Joe Cocker, obviously.
Huge Bigfoot news.
Oh, next time we have Bigfoot news, I'll have a Bigfoot song.
Cool.
Well, will there be any more Bigfoot news? Because a study has found that where there are Bigfoot sightings, it does correlate quite strongly to there being black bear populations. In conclusion, if Bigfoot is there, it could be a bear. That's the quote.
It rhymes too.
Or Bigfoot knows it's easy to camouflage itself around bears.
Yeah.
So it hangs out, if you want to hide yourself, you go into a crowd. You don't go into a sparsely populated area.
Yeah.
You don't stand in the middle of a field trying to hide.
Hide in plain sight, mate.
Yeah.
And final bit of news.
Man, you've glossed over. Can I just quickly run through some news that I want to mention?
Yeah, go on.
They won't be long. Just the jellyfish alien that's going around.
Oh.
There's a lot of talk about it looks like a bird shit on a lens. And everyone's like, oh, it looks like a jellyfish flying across the screen. And everyone's like, well, you can't see a smudge on a lens at all because of the way that focal lengths work and all that. But there's a skating video recently where someone's board hit the lens and scratched it, and you could see it clearly in the
if you get a bit of dust on your lens or on the sensor of your camera, you can 100% see it in photos.
Yeah.
That's why you have to keep the sensor clean.
Yeah. So, and it was weird. All these people were arguing, this is, I've checked all these focal lengths, but it's like, well, I've seen that happen, and it happened. So, the other one, which I'd like to talk about another episode when I can find more information, is Salt Bay uses lookalikes at his restaurant.
Right.
When he comes out and does this little thing.
Is that where it costs you an extra $7,000 to get your steak cut?
Yeah. And I watch a lot of those videos of him, so I'm going to be looking at his ears to see if they're different or whatever you do. I think that is it. Yeah, that's just the ones that I wanted to mention.
All right. Well, our final bit of news is they reckon they know what the Foo Fighters are.
Oh, the band,
Dave Grohl.
the rock band.
It's Dave Grohl's post-Nirvana band, right?
Yeah.
No, the Foo Fighters from World War II.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
What are they, Robbo?
I read this. And I didn't fucking understand it, to be honest. fast-moving blobs, where like it's actually a thing.
I think
they've seen.
Yeah. So a new paper suggests, this is from the NZ Herald, suggests that phenomena are in fact plasmas or ionized gases, which are drawn to the electrical charge of aircraft, spacecraft, and satellites.
That's just a thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that not what St. Elmo's fire is?
I guess it's similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess they're flying around and they're like, what's this bloody moving blob following us? And it's just a bit of electromagnetism.
Just need to degauss your plane, mate.
I remember doing the
Remember old monitors when you hit that degauss button and it'd go clink, and the whole screen would go clink. Remember that?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Old CRT monitors.
Yeah. I remember going to a museum and seeing that.
Fucking burned.
I remember when we did that episode, or we talked about Foo Fighters.
I do remember that.
My whole theory was they're just seeing reflections.
Right.
And they've just, you're all twisted up, you're confused. There's lots of, but it turns out I was wrong. There is actually stuff out there.
Yeah. Can I just insert one quick little thing? This is like not a relevant, a recent thing, but talking about seeing reflections and stuff. I've just been I've been poking around on Trove, looking at some archival newspapers for something. I'll tell you guys off air. But I've just seen an article from the Adelaide Advertiser dated Monday, the 11th of January, 1954. And the title of the article is Flying Ghosts. It says, Adelaide people who reported sighting flying saucers during the weekend need not feel that they were merely seeing things. Their reports fit into the pattern, which is still confused, but definitely emerging. Saucer reports have been a lively topic of speculation since they first arose in the US 7 years ago. The agile American imagination, alerted by comic strips, pictured them as space vessels manned by little men from Mars or Venus. This theory was trounced by eminent scientists on both sides of the Atlantic. It was pointed out that there were many natural phenomena, mock suns and fireballs, for instance, which were sufficiently far from the normal range of most people's experience to give rise to wonderment. A Harvard professor says saucers, quote, are real as rainbows. The tricks of light, optical ghosts or displaced images caused by the refraction of light on warm air from some sources commonplace as a motor car's headlights. This scarcely explains the appearance of saucers in broad daylight, but it does leave room for a lot of fascinating speculation. Isn't that cool?
Jeebus, that's really cool.
1954 Adelaide Advertiser, talking about UFOs.
When was the Somerton man found?
I'm not sure, can't remember. Have a look. 48.
All right, same,
A few years later.
Yeah.
That's a bit of wool.
Yeah.
There's also a couple of ads on the page of this newspaper. One of them is, to relieve nervous tension, take Persomnia, the safe sedative. And then a bit lower, for nerves or insomnia, take Persomnia, the safe sedative. And then there's an ad for a fly spray that says, lay 'em low with death blow. Perfumed fly spray. It's safe and certain. How safe do you think it was in 1954?
Lay 'em low with death blow sounds like a body count pastiche band would do. That's why they come out. Like, lay 'em low, death blow. Yep. You're like, oof, this is kind of cool, but it's a little bit ripping off body count.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right,
we are definitely going to start a band that is just singing ads from 1950s Adelaide Advertiser.
Yeah.
All right. That's the show. Yeah. Swifties, if anything has enraged you today, you can find Robbo at a specific location. He's easy to find, his physical location. It's so simple. The only trick is you got to get out to Westport.
What's this? What's going on here?
He's just doxing you, mate.
Was it?
Doxing you.
What's happening?
Luke doesn't like to dox himself on the podcast.
I'm not fully.
Anymore,
I know that. So I'm not fully doxing him. I'm just saying, if you want to get him, he's easy to find.
Easy to find.
Not anymore, Salty. I don't think I ever did. Don't go back and listen to the previous episode. Shut up. Don't find me anywhere. I'm not doing anything at the moment. Salty?
You know what? I've got a new website. I think I talked about it previously. artbysalt.com. You find my stuff there. I post some art and some tutorials and some videos and stuff of what I've been up to.
Mm-hmm. And
I think I sent someone your way the other day, but I'm assuming they didn't get in touch.
No one's got in touch.
Yeah.
And just bearing in mind that I was the only one that defended Taylor Swift at every possible moment.
Also, I'm the only one that's been to see her concert and tweeted feverishly about her in the early 2010s.
OMG, 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 OMG.
Yep.
You can find me on Blue Sky and Mastodon at Sexenheimer on all of them. You can still find me on X. I did just see, looking at X though, I was promoted a Twitter space. Donate to build a gas chamber to continue Hitler's work was the name of the Twitter space.
Jesus Christ.
Stop using X, dickheads.
I might suggest that X.com has gone slightly downhill.
Yeah, it's a fucking Nazi site run by a Nazi. Why are people still hanging out there? Just want to also, to Swifties still listening, Cam tweeted earlier, or last year, sorry, something went wrong on the Ticketek site and somehow I've got 50 tickets to Taylor Swift. I'm going to look very silly sitting alone in a big empty patch of stadium, intentionally trying to enrage and troll Taylor Swift fans, which is really interesting. Anything to say for yourself?
There's a lot of talk about how motivated and malicious the Swiftie people are, but I never found that. Like, they never came for me. I guess because I was so unproblematic. I was such an unproblematic fave in other ways.
They're like a schoolyard bully, and they looked at you and went, "He's not worth it. He's not worth it."
Baby. All right. That is our show. That is our 200th show.
Hey, thanks everyone for sticking with us. If you've been here from the start, if you're new, thanks for joining us.
And also thank you to Tammy on the Patreon, which we also have.
Yeah,
thank you.
On Patreon, by the way.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. Thanks, everyone.
Hooroo, folks.
Don't worry about a thing, except if all our world leaders are alien reptilians. I said don't worry about a thing, except maybe the fluoride in our water supply contains mind-altering drugs. Don't worry about a thing, except whether or not Port Arthur was a false flag operation in which to disarm Australia. I said don't worry about a thing. Except you can definitely hear John Lennon say I buried Paul at the end of Strawberry Fields Forever. Ooh, don't worry about a thing. Except not only did Bush do 9/11, but he also keeps the planes out in Area 51, which, let's not forget, where all of the aliens are. Don't worry